Hello friends, and welcome to this crochet tutorial where I'm going to show you how to make this little bear either as an ornament or as a keychain for your backpack or for just your keys. This pattern is based off of the Addi bear lovey, which was created by Ashley from A Crafty Concept. So as we create this little bear, remember that you can hang it from many things, and it's a cute little reminder to make you smile. I like it. So let's get started. We got some work ahead of us. And I bought a 22 needle knitting machine from Walmart for 20 bucks. So we are going to be using that to make this nice cute little bear. So let's get started. The materials and tools that we will be using to make this bear ornament keychain are, here I have a 22 needle knitting machine that I purchased at Walmart, and it works great. I love this handle that's on it. We'll need some waste yarn. I usually use like a 3-ply. We'll need some brown, about 18 inches. Need some black, about 18 inches. I have here approximately 1 ounce of white yarn. And here we're going to be using Keychain Simple Soft Party. If you can see it, it has sparkles of blue, gold, and red mixed in to this gray yarn. The name of this yarn is called Silver Sparkle. Something else we're going to be using, because of the design of this knitting machine, we will be using a 2.75 crochet hook. To make the arms and ears, we'll use a 3.75 crochet hook. We have 2 tapestry needles here. One, because of the small size, it'll fit in between the 2 little pegs here on the knitting machine, so we'll need that. And we'll use a regular metal eye tapestry needle and a pair of scissors. One more thing we will need for our material is our stuffing. You'll notice that I have here, it's not compressed, but about the size of a small baseball. So before we begin, I want to go over the reasoning behind the hook and the smaller size tapestry needle. The hook, if you notice right here on my machine, the carrying of the yarn has actually these loops, and it's just easier to take that small size crochet hook. Of course, you'll be pulling it in from this back side, but you want to make sure it fits into that hole. I do not plan on cutting these because I find it helps make sure that the yarn doesn't go all over the place, so I'm leaving mine the way it is. For the tapestry needle, you'll see right here on this pink needle right here, the little indent on that needle goes directly in between. So when you want to pull these stitches off, when we cast off, you want to use one that will go in between it and not cause any stress on these 2 little pins right here. Can you see those 2 little pins? You don't want them to spread open any wider than what they already are. So sometimes when they give you a needle with these machines, they don't always fit in between. Luckily on this one, I got this from another knitting machine that I have, and it fits in between it just perfectly without causing any stress on these pins. Another nice thing about this machine is that it does have this handle here, which I will be using quite a bit. When I use it, I push down on it. I guess I moved my camera a little bit, but pressing down also keeps it so it's not going to go anywhere, and I can still turn like I normally would. Okay, another thing I want to point out to you is these are the tension holes. Okay, we have a very small one, we have a medium one, and we have a large one. In the making of this, you'll find that I'll be using the small one and sometimes the medium one. This helps set the tension of how tight the yarn should be as the needles pull it through to create the fabric that we're going to be using. Another thing too, we have the circle, which will do the tube, or we have the square that will do the panel. Make sure yours is up with the circle if you're using the Walmart one, or make sure that it's in tube form. So we're going to go ahead and load up with our white yarn first, and I'm going to show you how to start so that we can make the inner head of this little bear. So to begin, we want to spin it around till we have that one colored needle that's not the same as the rest, and in my case this one's the pink one. So I'm going to bring it over to the side just a little bit so that the two needles are on either side of this particular one. Now, not all machines are made this way. I'm just showing you what I have learned for this particular model. So I'm going to go ahead and take my hook. I'm going to bring it back from behind, up forward, loop the yarn over the hook, and pull it through. Now for this particular machine, you're going to find that this is what I'm going to have to do every time I want to cast on. So I'm going to take about 6 inches and I'm going to drop it in the center, and then I'm going to wrap around the first one, and then as I turn the next needle, this yarn right here is going to go behind it, noticing that I'm trying to keep what came through this little tubes here on my left. Okay, so as I turn, I'm going behind this needle. Now I want to get in front of this needle right here, which is the next one. So what we're going to do is we're going to load this on by every other one behind, the next one's in front, the next one's behind, the next one's in front. And why they came up with this method, I have no idea. So let's continue on all the way around. I will admit that the little tunnel that this yarn has to go through is kind of a pain at first, but once you learn to work with it, it works really well. So here I am with my pink one where I started. Remember, I pulled the yarn over here to the right hand side, so now my last needle, it should come behind. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to tighten this yarn right here, and because of the size of this yarn, I'm going to put it into the middle tension right here. Okay, so let's start cranking just a little bit to get it going. Now I'm going to admit too, this little machine, the first row, trying to do the stitching, it makes all kinds of crazy noises, but once you get past that initial first row, it works like a charm. Okay, so we've completed this, our initial row. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start counting 8 rows. So I'm going to put my handle on here. Let's see. I like to keep my yarn in a bucket so it doesn't roll all over the place. Okay, now I'm going to press down. The tension is controlling the yarn down here, so I don't have to hold on to it. And I'm going to go ahead and circle around. We're going to do this for 8 complete revolutions. So here's 1. We're working on number 2. Here's number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and here's number 8. So we're going to complete this one. Whoops, it got kind of wrapped up in my bucket here. Okay, once we get to number 8, we're going to stop. And we want to cut this yarn at about 12 inches past the end of our little loop right here. Okay, then grab it here, pull it out of that little loop, or that little tunnel, I guess you can say. I'm going to remove my handle. And now I'm going to hand crank it around a few stitches. So next I'm going to pull out my needle. Now to easily thread it, fold it in half, work the loop through the eye, and you don't have to worry about it unfraying. So I'm going to take my needle. Here's where I stopped. So I'm going to pick up that first stitch. Place your finger over the next stitch so it doesn't accidentally come off of the little pegs there. Okay, and then we're going to go all the way around, picking up the 1 stitch or 2 stitches at a time until we get all the way around to the end. So here I am at my last stitch. I'm going to pick that up. Oops, don't want to lose it. I'm going to slide my machine aside. And then I'm going to take this string that I just put in here and pull it all the way around so that we have it with a small circle in the center. Okay. Then I'm going to take my needle and kind of just go around and pick up some of the stitches again. Doesn't hurt to reinforce it. And then I'm going to put it through the center, and then I'm going to pull it tight. Let's go ahead and back stitch over a couple of stitches here, and that'll help lock it in place. Do not cut this yarn just yet. So with our other, the beginning of the row, let's go ahead and pull that some, just enough to get it started. And then we're going to add our small amount of stuffing. Alright, so we're going to take our fluff, and you want to pinch it in the center and kind of grab all the edges to the center here. And then we're going to take that folded edge, place it down, okay, and then with that loose yarn, where's it at? Here it is. We're going to tighten it around. This is the inner head. This will help hide all the stuffing that's inside this thing. Okay, so with our string that's hanging out, we don't want to pull it down too tight, but pull it down just enough. Now we're going to place, if it'll stop spinning on me. Sometimes these things like to play games, don't they? We're going to place a overhand knot or a square knot on the end here. Okay. And then what I like to do, I'll switch to my big needle, my big tapestry needle here, because that plastic one is good for the machine, but it's really good for just that. Okay, so we're going to go through one end, go down through the center again, just come right on out. This will kind of help hide the ends and give us a little shape that we might want. Cut it off, and our little inner head is done. We're going to move on to the body, and we're going to start off with our waste yarn. So let's go ahead and load our waste yarn into the machine. And do our cast on. Now for this one, since it is a size 3, I will be placing it into the smallest hole here on the bottom. Okay, go ahead and do approximately 5 rows. Making sure to stop at the different colored pin that's your starting or finishing pin. Okay, so here's mine right here. And I'm going to be placing mine on the left side of that pin. So the next thing we're going to do is add our main color, which in my case is this sparkle yarn. Okay, so we're going to add our little 6-inch tail into the center. You want to pull up the waste yarn as well as the regular yarn. So here I'm going to put this in the small tension. And then you want to hand crank it a couple of times. And then we're going to come back here and put an overhand knot, a little snug, so that it doesn't come undone. Now, like I said before, I like placing the handle on mine. So here we're going to do 14 rows of the bottom. So I'm going to count as I go along. Here's 1, 2. I'm going to stop now. I'll come back to you when I hit 14 rows. So we have a nice little collection here, huh? All right, now we're going to do something you don't want to hear. Let's cut our yarn. It's okay. It's okay. Okay, go ahead and cut that yarn. And let's pull up our white yarn that we used for the inner head. This is going to be the cinching, so that way it'll separate the head from the body. Okay, so you just want to pull it through and let it drop. Okay, so pinch the sparkle yarn and the white yarn. Whoops, let's not forget to set it in our tension. And in this case, it's medium. So let's turn it 2 or 3 needles. And let's go ahead and tie it off. Okay. And we're only going to do just the one time around. So we're just going to, when you see that your other color pop up again, stop. Go ahead and cut it again. And we're going to put our sparkle yarn back on. Now I'm putting it in between because it's easier to grab. And then we're going to knit 8 rows after this. We'll get it started. So go ahead and knit your 8 rows. Don't forget to set your tension. And I'll see you when you've completed your 8 rows, and I'll show you how to finish this off. So as we did before, let's go ahead and cut us a 12-inch little tail. Take it out of your tension guide and out of the tunnel if you got one. And then we're going to cast off the same way we did as the white yarn. So instead of boring you with this, go ahead and cast it off, and then we'll take off from there. My last needle wanted to play games with me, and I was like, no, you're not. Okay, so we went ahead and we've taken it off. You see how we got our white line here. So I'd like for you to take this and just kind of stretch it out just a little bit. All right, so take the head area. This is the bottom with the waste yarn, and with the head area, I'd like for you to pull out those 4 strands that are right here in the middle. Okay, let me bring the camera in closer and I'll show you what to do next. So what we're going to do now is take the white yarn and the sparkle yarn and untie it. We only tied it so that the knitting machine would catch those next stitches. Now what I'd like for you to do is take the white and pull halfway. You'll see how it's gathering this area right here. And then take the other side and pull as well. Okay, and then take it. Now this is not going to become a small tiny hole. It's going to remain about the size of a dime or a nickel here. It's going to be kind of big. Then I want you to take the silver and the white, okay, and just tie a square knot. When we're done, do not cut. We're going to use these for part of our process and of adding the other stitches like the black and the brown. So through the center, take those and push it down so that they come out where the waste yarn is right here. Okay, and then we're going to take the upper part here, take our little white ball, drop it in the center here, and then cinch the edges. Now if you have to, pull it up just a little. And then pull it tight. And shove all of that stuff down in there. Maybe a little snug, but it'll be okay. And this is what we have so far. So we're not done yet. Okay, so I'm going to change my needle out. I'm going to put in my metal tapestry needle. Okay, we want to go around our hole one more time. This will help draw it in even tighter. And if you get a wild hair about you and you want to go around again, have at it. Okay, once you go around like that, you want to pull it and it'll cinch it right up like that. Okay, and then we're going to go down the center to the opening right here. We want to make sure it's tight, but we don't want to pull that center piece down in there. Okay, so we want to make sure it's snug, and then pick up right here and wrap it around a couple of times. And that'll help lock it in. Okay, do not cut the length of this yet. We got other things we're going to do with the length here. All right, so we have our little bear head and body so far. Next, we're going to go ahead and create the features of the ears, the muzzle, and the arms, but we're going to start off with the muzzle first. So with our white yarn, we're going to start off with a magic circle. However you make your magic circle. I do mine kind of crazily here. Okay, so once I got this down, that first chain you want to make it as tight as you can, but not too tight, just enough to hold that in place right here. Let me get these guys out of the way. All right, so we are going to make first let's chain 1. Now we're going to place 10 double crochets into our circle here. So here's 1, here's 2, here's 3, all right, continue around until you have a total of 10. So after you have your 10, place your finger and thumb over the end of your work and pull that tail until you have a tiny little circle in the center. You don't want to pull it too tight because we still got stitching to go through this right here. And then here's your chain 1. So we're going to slip stitch into the top of that first double crochet. We have our nice little circle piece here. Now we're going to cut this at about 18 inches. We want to make sure we have plenty of yarn. And this will be what we use to sew our little circle onto the front of our little bear's face. All right. So he will go right here. But first, to determine the placement of it, we need to find where we stopped and started. So if we take this and go like this, and then bring it up like this, shape the front a little bit, we know our little bear muzzle here is going to go right here. So I have my tapestry needle. I'm going to go ahead and put my thread on that. But before we get carried on too far, I want to take this and roll it up. I'm going to place it directly in the center back of my circle. Then I want where I stopped my row going straight down. And I'm going to place him right here. So my first needle will go in here, come out up here. We're going to be pinching it like in 4 spots. I don't like using additional things that could easily be forgotten. So I'm not putting markers and pins and stuff in here. So we're going to place it in those 4 places. Then I'm going to go all the way around with 1 stitch at a time. And if you notice, as I come up, I go down only under that V-stitch part of the top of the double crochet. Or I guess you could say it's like the chain part. Now where we did come in, I'm going to go over that again, just to make sure it stays down. I got one more stitch right here to do. Okay, so when I go down, I'm going to find the center and come out here at the center. Make sure everything is down. And then I'm going to pick up what I gathered and wrap it around a couple of times. And then just put like a little overknot. That'll help hold it in place. All right. So, next thing we're going to do is the ears. So I pulled out my 3.75 crochet hook. We're going to start off with another magic circle. Tighten that first chain, and into our magic circle, let's place 5 half double crochets. All right. Let's go ahead and pinch our stitches here on the end. Pull our tail tight. Drop it to the back. And then find that the top of the first half double crochet, and let's place a slip stitch using that stitch. It's going to be kind of tight because it was the first one. So through one, through the other. So now we have us a tiny little circle. Okay, let's chain 1, and in that same stitch, 2 half double crochets. I know you think I'm crazy, but it's okay. The fun of crochet, right? And in the next 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches, 2 half double crochets per stitch. You shall have 10 half double crochets at the end of this row. Complete those around, and I'll meet you there. That didn't take long, did it? Okay, so now that we have this, let's go to that first half double crochet, because we're skipping over the chain. We're going to do a slip stitch. You notice how it pulls it close and creates like a little cup. So chain 1, and in this same stitch, half double crochet. In the next stitch, 1 half double crochet. So we're going to continue with 1 half double crochet all the way around to the end of the row. You should have 10 half double crochets on this row. When we get to the end, we're going to slip stitch it closed into that first half double crochet, and we're going to leave a tail of approximately 12 inches long. That tail will be used for sewing the ear on. Also, we want to turn it inside out so that the right side of the stitching is on the outside. So let me get my, I don't know why, but for some reason the yarn is snagging on my fingernails. I guess I need to go to the salon. Okay. And then we'll take our little magic tail, just going to coil it up and stick it in the ear. You don't have to tie it off. You don't have to do anything. Just stick it in there. All right. And then when we fold it in half, we want the end of the row at the end of that fold. So we have it like this. All right. Then we're going to go ahead and place our tapestry needle on. And from the center top, we're going to come over about like 1/4 of an inch, drop it down, and pick it up probably about 1/2 inch down, or like the length of the ear. Then you want to come across the 2 on the bottom, and you want to go basically down into the same spot. Now on the back side, we're not going to go here, we're going to bring it back here, and this will help it to cup around to give it like the little ear is looking cute for you. Okay, and then we're going to come back up here to the top, the same area you went down in. We want to go across both of them now. And so next what we're going to do is just basically reinforce the ear into the stitching that we missed, because even though we did 3, there's still 2 of them that we missed. Alrighty, he's looking cute already, huh? See how it curls in just that little bit? What that's about, I'm gonna have to go back over that. Alright, now if you have a lot of yarn left over like I do, we're going to want to make the little hanger, which goes in between the ears. So let's go ahead and we'll come up probably just that little 1/8 of an inch from the center of the hole right here. And here our little ear is sewn down. Looks cute. Now place your finger over the top and then go directly across. And we're going to make a loop 3 times. So here's 1. This will complete number 2. And then this is for number 3. So come up to the same place and then try and make them so that they're all the same tension there. And so here we have the 3 loops, and this will be for hanging it. You can, use it as a keychain or whatever, but we're not done yet. So let me show you what we're going to do now. We're going to take the needle, go through the center while the loop goes under that needle. We're going to do basically a finishing stitch. Oops, I missed it. Okay, so go under. And here we got the loop that the needle's going through, and then we want to snug it down so that it's close right here. Okay, and we're going to do this all the way around, and this will help reinforce those 3 stitches that we got here. Now if your yarn wasn't long enough, that's okay. You can do it on the next ear. Just make it long enough and go back to this part on the video and it'll show you what to do again. So after you completed this ear, go ahead and make a second ear, and then we'll move on and attach it the same way. Where you'll place it, it'll be in the same direct line over. So it'll be from here to here. And it'll just be balanced, unless you want to have him do something else, like have it closer or however you want. It's your bear. It'll be just as cute as you can make it. I made some that had different colored yarns in it, and now I got family who want these as ornaments for their Christmas tree, and I got my granddaughters that want it as backpack decoration. Okay, so now that we come back to the center, we can go down into that same hole, go through the head to the underside of the body. Now before you call it I got it right, make sure that there's no extra yarn up here, that when you pull on it, it goes right down. And then wrap it again around that white yarn row that we did. You're going to find that all of these stitches here stop with the white yarn row, or the cinching row. Okay, so go ahead and do the other ear right here, and we'll do the arms next. So here's what mine looks like with his second ear on. So let's move on to their arms. I'm going to start off with a magic circle. And we're going to place 4 half double crochets into the circle. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to close our circle and then slip stitch into that first half double crochet. Chain 1, 2 half double crochets in that same slip stitch that we did. Okay, so 2 half double crochets there, 2, 2, and 2 for a total of 8 half double crochets this row. Being that it's a little smaller, it may be a little bit challenging, but we can do this. Okay, I got 2 more to do. Okay, and then we're going to slip stitch into that first half double crochet. Now, because we're doing arms and we want it, probably about 2 or 3 inches long, I'm going to encourage you to count as we go around. That way you don't have to place a marker, you don't have to do anything. It's just a tiny little arm, and it's not really going to do much. Now you notice I just chained 1 while I was talking. So chain 1, and then in that same stitch with the slip stitch, 1 half double crochet. So let's count 1. Here's number 2. Now this is all 1 per stitch. Here's number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now you'll notice that I did pull the right side outward too. Okay, so technically you would want to join to this stitch, but we are not going to slip stitch. We counted 8, so yarn over. We're going to do number 9. We're going to go directly up. That's going to be like continuing of a spiral. So here's number 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, I'm at number 13. So continue on until you have a total of 46 half double crochets. I'm at 13, so if you're at 13, 14, 15, 16, okay? So start there, and I'll meet you at after 46 half double crochets are completed. So after 46 in that spiral, this is what we have here. It's about the length of my finger. Okay, so stitch number 47 is a single crochet. Stitch number 48 is a slip stitch. Okay, so leave about 12 inches. Go ahead and cut your yarn. And if you want, since the numbers are fresh in your head, go ahead and do a second one, or you can do it after we've stitched this on our little bear. So let's move on to our next step. So I have threaded my needle. Now I'm going to turn it to the side. Here is the ear. So I'm going to come right down here where this line is, and I'm going to take my needle and go under probably about 3 stitches. Pull it through. Take our little arm here, fold it in half, and I'm going to go through, and I'm going to go do this one more time. I'm going to go through that same space. Pull it through. Okay, from behind, I'm going to go halfway between what I had from before. Okay, and then I'm going to go right down the center here, pick up both sides, and then I'm going to go under and try to come back up where I was at before. I'm going to do that one more time. There we go. And then I'm going to snug it down. And that gives us the attachment of one arm. Okay, now I'm going to come down just a little bit and then come out through the head into the neck so that we can attach it at the same area that we've been attaching it all along. Making sure that that one's on there tight. Alright, so we have one arm on our little guy. So let's go ahead and do the second one, and we'll place his arm right here, and then we'll be ready to detail his face. Isn't he a cutie? Okay, so let's move on to our black yarn. I'm going to go ahead and thread my needle, but before we start that, I'm going to take all these long strings here, and I'm going to make them stop. So let's turn our little guy's body over his head, And all of these yarns that you have right here, I would like for you to divide them in half and then place a square knot. A square knot on top of a square knot. And do it kind of tight. Okay, and then we're going to cut all that excess off. Alright, so we have this in the center. You won't see it, it'll be under the yarn. So let's go ahead and pull up a stitch under all those yarn. Before, when I was doing this, I tried to pick up just the cinching yarn, and you could see it on the outside. That's the reason why I started doing it this way. I've made plenty of these little bears. I'll show you here pretty soon. Okay, so we want to tie it good. Then we're going to go up through the center of the neck here, and we're going to come out right here. Find the center bottom. So we're going to come out right here. May take a couple of pokes. There we go. And then we're going to go to the center, and we're going to come back through that same hole again. And we go down the center, and now we're going to be coming over here for the sleepy eye look. Okay, so I pulled it over just a couple of stitches. I'm going to go over this 3 times. So here's number 2, and we're going to insert the needle. We're going to come over to the approximately the same area on the other side and do about the same size on the other side. So here's 1, here's 2, and here's 3. Then we're going to go back down through the center Okay, we want to make sure everything's down, not too tight. Okay, and then we're going to grab our black tail here and square knot it up. And then we're going to cut it off. And this is what we have so far. So let's go ahead and we're going to do our little nose, and we're going to do that with brown. Please put the brown on your tapestry needle. So back to our bottom. Let's go ahead and add the square knot tie like we did with the black. Okay, let's go in through the center, and you're going to want to come out right here at the top of the black. That'll be in that hole that we left open for those double crochets magic circle. Okay, so the idea here is however far you spaced your eyes is how wide we want our little triangle piece here. Apparently this one's going to be kind of small. He's going to look like he has a small piece of the pie. So we're going to go from here to here. And then we're going to fill in just a few stitches, not a lot. Oops. Seems like every time I pull the yarn it seems to get away from me every once in a while. It's like here I create something. No, Mom, I can't go. I need to stay here with you. Okay, so here we have this. Now, once you get the little triangle filled, we're going to go back through the center again and tie him off with the square knots again. Make sure your yarn is the way it's supposed to be, because you don't want to have to go back in there later to fix it. Yeah, we're almost done. I know you're excited. How's that look? Is he cute? Could be a she. We could put a little bow up here, a little bow here. Who knows what we'll do next, right? Well, the next thing we're going to do is all of our yarns have been trimmed. So we're going to finish the bottom up, but we still have one more final touch after we do that. So let's get our 3.75 crochet hook out, and we're going to go ahead and finish this up. Let me show you how to do that. Okay, now you remember when I showed you, you wanted this on the side like that, right? So that way when you folded it down, the little flat panel would have this on the end. Okay, so we're going to come over here. I know I got my colors are so close, and I'm sorry, but you want to pick up the gray. You should have 22 gray loops. That means you should have 11 on this side and 11 on this side. So if we pick up one of them and then come across to the other one, pull it through like a slip stitch. And then we can go to the same side or we can go to the other side. It doesn't really matter. Then pull it through. You want to come over here to the other side. Pick up only the gray, not the waste yarn, and pull it through. When all of this is said and done, you're going to say, oh, I knew that, huh? Okay, so pick up the next gray loop, or the sparkle yarn loop, and then the next one on the opposite side. And take your time with this. Make sure that you pick up the right ones. I know in the camera I'm seeing basically all the same colors. I'm a bad girl. This one's purple, this one's gray, so I want to pick up the gray one. So you want the next one that's in line here. Okay, so I have two little lines here. Here's my gray one. You want to pick all the pieces of that one up. There we go. Okay, so you're going to do that all the way to the end. And when you get there to the end, I'll show you how to finish this row off. So continue on with the rest of them down here. All right, so here's my little line. Okay, and I have this, I'm on the last chain, so I'm just going to take the sparkle tail and pull it through. Not too tight. Now I'm hoping I grabbed every single one of them. I might have missed one here. Hang on. I think I missed one. I thought I counted right, but when you're doing a tutorial or helping others to learn how to do this, sometimes you overlook some things. So I might have overlooked this one. Doesn't hurt to grab it anyway. Okay, here we go. Now we want to take the waste yarn off. I don't cut mine. You can tell I've used it quite a few times. So what we're going to do is, you see how these little loops are here on the end. Let's go ahead and pull. Or did I grab the wrong one? There's no telling. Okay. There is a method to all this madness. Alrighty. What you want to do is you want to pull the tail through that very, you see on these right here, the tail goes through all of that. So we want to pull the tail out through all of this. And what that's going to do is, you see how these loops right here and that straight piece that went through it, just go ahead and carefully pull that out. Take your time and look and see with what the straight line is going through. Okay, now I know this one's the straight line. Sometimes if you get it just right, once you've done this plenty of times, you can pull that one and say, ha ha ha, I got it. So after we got that straight piece out, you'll notice how easy it is just to pull the rest out. Comes out quite easily. When you get to those last loops, there you go. All right, we're not done yet. We need to weave in this end, and we're going to add a little accent to him. Now, after I've used my waste yarn and taken it off, I roll mine back up and use it for another project. Now, since I have many Addi or many knitting machines of various sizes, I'll just go ahead and put it in the pile for my 22 needle machines. I have about 3 of those. I have an Addi, a Centro, and the Walmart one. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish this up. We're going to weave in our tail here. So I'm just going to weave back and forth. See if we can get it to work itself in. And then I'm going to do it again here. Kind of go over and under some of them. Now this next row I'm going to go shorter. Whoops, how did I do that? I forgot to go over one. Shame on me. Okay, so when we go in, we want to weave it a little bit. And then when you get down here to the end, you want to skip one, which I was busy talking and I wasn't paying attention. You skip one or go back over one, and that'll keep it down here where it's supposed to be at. And then we're just going to do a few stitches here, and then skip over one and weave it back again. Okay. All right, so I'm going to add a little touch. Now, my suggestion is I'm going to add mine around the neck, but if you want, you can always add one up here for like a little girl look. I just put one around the neck because I think it looks cuter. So I'm going to take some of my white yarn and I'm going to double it. Have about 12 inches doubled. So we took a 24-inch piece and doubled it. Bring it around the neck. Okay, I like to bring it off to one side. Okay, so we tie it here. Make a loop. Bring it around. Okay, now I'm going to tighten them up as tight as I can. Okay, and then make the loops get a little smaller. I think it gives it a little cutie look. I cut it at a diagonal, and here we go. He has this little hanging hook. You can put an ornament hook or a keychain ring into it, whatever you would like. Let me show you to some of his other friends. So of course we just finished this guy right here. So we have our multicolored friend here. We have purple guy who's been with us the whole video. This one's going to my friend Jenny. Here we have striped. I used a baby stripe yarn. You'll find that all of these I used was a real small size 4 or size 3 yarn. I have my little blue aqua guy. I have a pink one that has a little bit bigger head. I was trying with different sizes of bodies and different size heads. But these are all ornaments that I'm giving away as gifts. If they choose to use it as a key ring, okay. Also, all of this yarn that I used, except for today, today I used Caron Simple Soft. Most of the other ones I used were from Lion Brand Mandela Sparkle yarn. And I used the color grouping. So I used just purple, or I just green, or whatever. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this little crochet tutorial on how to make this little teddy bear ornament. I want to give my thanks to Ashley for actually coming up with this design. This is based off of her design. She made the very large Addi bear lovey. So this is just an ornament keychain idea that I thought I'd share. So till next time, bye bye.